name is Ani Baker, and I'm a teacher turned documentary filmmaker based in Los Angeles. In March, when lockdown happened here, I completely panicked, along with most people that I know. And after about 2 months of really intense sacrifices and changes and crying, my panic started to give way to curiosity, because I was realizing that for the first time in my life, everybody in the whole world was being impacted by the same events. And I became desperate to know how the events of 2020 were showing up for other people elsewhere, and I really wanted to get that information directly. So I traveled in the only way that I legally could, by talking to people in countries all over the world about 2020. We've talked about COVID and quarantine and the Black Lives Matter movement and the emotional impact of all of this, and about what we've learned from all of it so far. I have to say, these conversations have saved me this year. They've made me feel connected and informed and less alone at a time when all three of those feelings are really, really scarce, and I'm thrilled to share them with you. In episode 1, we go to Buenos Aires, Argentina, to talk to Juan Chalela about what it's been like for him living in one of the first South American countries to impose a super strict lockdown back when the concept of lockdown still seemed totally absurd to us. So you said March 19th you went into full lockdown, is that right?
Yeah.
So since then, what does your day-to-day life look like? No judgment. No, it's okay.
We're all in the same.
Yeah.
So I know your life probably changed a lot. I wake up. I have breakfast because I can't go to work.
Yeah.
I can't go to university. I can't do sports. I can't see my friends. I can't do pretty much anything. I eat a lot. We all do. For example, right now I'm doing an After Effects course. Do you know that program from Adobe?
Yeah.
And it's something that I wanted to do for a long time because I edit a lot of stuff on Premiere.
Yeah.
And I always needed that extra from After Effects, and I didn't know how to use it. So right now I'm doing that course because I have free time.
That's all fantastic. I have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I gave a lot of time to a script that I'm writing, a feature film script, which I was writing before quarantine, but again, I only have like 1 or 2 free hours a day.
Right.
So I can't put in that much time. Now I can.
That's really great to hear. I've heard a lot of people have creative projects that they have wanted to work on but have not felt the motivation. Did you go through a period of that?
Yeah, of course. It was weird because at first I wasn't motivated to do anything, like creative processes or whatever. I wasn't motivated because I also thought it was gonna last like 3 weeks, a month.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were gonna be stuck here for 4 months. And then a couple of weeks into it, I started doing the courses. I started writing the screenplay, and it was good. And then again, it went like, it still becomes harder every day. But now I've kind of gotten into the flow again of trying to do something every day, something new or something I've been doing, but not standing still, even if everything else is. So that's why I took this opportunity also to just do something,
Yeah.
This is something, it's sharing what's happening to me, what's happening in my country. I can't make coronavirus go away, but I can still do things with my life with all the limitations.
Has your government or your local government at all been like, okay, here's the plan, this is how long we're going to be in lockdown, this is what you can expect, or is it all sort of amorphous and hard to understand?
Well, that's like, there was a plan, there's phases of the East, like they had like 4 phases, and like the 5th phase was going back to normal. And there's some provinces, some states, you call it, some states have come back to normal because they don't have any COVID cases. But I live near the capital, in the suburbs, and the problem with Argentina is that we have 45 million people, right, as a population. But of those 45 million people, something like 12 or 11 million all live in the Buenos Aires, in the capital, in the state of Buenos Aires. And most of those 11 million live in the capital and its surroundings. So in this part of the country, we're still in like phase 2 or 3. Like we went to 4 and then we had to go back. And now in tomorrow, we're going back to full lockdown here. But not in the rest of the country. The rest of the country is better. Like most of them are going back to normal. They said it's for 2 weeks, but then they didn't say what's going to happen after that. So there is a plan, but there isn't a plan.
Yeah, that's how it is over here as well.
Yeah.
So your president is Alberto Fernandez. How do you feel about how he's handling this?
I think he handled it pretty well. Like, I don't think there's much more he could have done because of the situation we were in. We changed government late last year, in 2019, and we had a pretty terrible government before this one. Economically speaking, like we were about to enter a financial crisis. Argentina has this thing where every 5 to 10 years we enter into a crisis, and then we have a 5-year period of stability until we enter the next crisis.
So around here, tensions are really high and people are losing their minds. And I know you see it on the internet, like people are going crazy all over the place. How are the people in your area handling this for the most part?
For the most part, we've handled it, the people have handled it very well. Like since the beginning, we respected the lockdown. If you go outside right now, you have people wearing masks and social distancing. So it's been really good on that front. It is a critical situation. You know, people are becoming poorer every day. They don't work, or people are starving. You know, or need to be helped by the state to not starve or to not lose their jobs. Or to get paid. For example, I'm getting paid 15% of my wage by the state because because the company I work for is currently closed. You know, they're not working, but they still have to pay people. During this time of quarantine, he issued a bulletin that prohibited companies from firing their employees.
Okay.
So that's good for us, but you know, companies have to pay people when they're not making money.
Right.
So they also issued a plan to help companies pay the company wages. So for example, in my case, I'm being paid half of my salary by the state, not by my company. And then my company is paying 25% of my salary. So I'm being paid 75%.
You said your 8-hour job is at a school, right?
Yeah.
What are the lunches like where you are? Give me an example of like 5 meals.
5 meals, like on the 29th, on every 29th, we have gnocchi, of course. It's a tradition in Argentina. I don't know if that's like that in the US, that on the 29th, you eat gnocchi.
No, but I love it, and I want to make it a tradition here. Thank you for that idea.
Every day you have a salad bar to accompany the meal if you like. We try the kids to eat salad. We're not allowed to give them fish. I don't know why.
Whoa.
We're also not allowed to give them hamburgers because of the meat they are made of. It's like processed meat.
You guys are way we just are like, eat it, shut up and eat it, don't ask any questions. And what's in it is garbage.
We do serve pizza. Like Fridays is like the cheat day, you know, and we give them like pizza, and another day we give them fries and chicken on Fridays,
Yeah.
but it's just Friday, and even on Fridays you have the salad bar, and as a dessert you have the cheat dessert, and you still have the fruit.
I love
So
it.
the kids can choose. Of course, kids choose like ice cream and
Right.
fries and that, but we still have it as an option, like the healthy option.
So when COVID started here, it started like March 15th lockdown. It was like this feeling of intense division, obviously, everywhere. And then on May 25th, when George Floyd was murdered on camera, all of a sudden the division shifted into unity. The feelings behind this time have changed so much here, and I'm curious about how much that story has impacted Argentina. Like, did the Black Lives Matter movement make it to you? And if so, how?
It did because of social media, like we've all heard about it. We've seen it on the television. Like television broadcast took that story and they filled the screen with the story of George Floyd and the riots in the US for like a week. It's not that we don't have a racism problem, because we do, like not with blacks but with people from other countries that come to Argentina. We do have it. We have people who are racist and xenophobic, with people from Bolivia, Paraguay, Peru, Chile. We have people from those countries coming to Argentina because we have a free border and they come to work or to live here, and we do have a racism problem with that.
What has the conversation been since people, it sounds like people have maybe started talking about it a little bit more, highlighting it a little bit more? What does that conversation sound like in Argentina?
The conversation was, stop worrying about what happens in the US and worry about what happens here, because we do have that. It's not like, oh, they have that problem and it's their thing, which it is, but we have our problems, like with the xenophobia, and we also have a problem with indigenous people that live in Rio Negro, which is another state here, and there's a lot of racism to them, and because they are being pushed away from their lands, because those lands were taken by the state hundreds of years ago. They stayed there, but then the state sold those lands to people from Europe. I don't know if you know Benetton, Louis Benetton. He's a rich guy from Italy, and he bought like this huge chunk of land in Rio Negro, and those were the Indians' ancestral lands, which the state had taken from them like 100 years ago. And now there's all this conflict where they are being pushed away from their own land by the state, because those lands don't belong to them anymore, according to the state. And they're treated with racism, police brutality. And we have that problem right now, and we don't talk about it. So the things that happen with Black Lives Matter and George Floyd got attention to that. Something that's been happening, and it's been happening in recent years. It's not something like 20 years ago.
Right.
It's happening now.
Right. Well, I have two questions just about lockdown in general then. What for you was like the lowest? Like, this is the hardest thing about this. I can't handle this. This part is killing me.
Well, the lowest, I think it was 1 or 2 weeks in the middle when I was completely blocked out of everything. Like, I couldn't create anything. I didn't want to do. It was like a mini state of depression, where what's the fucking point, right? I can't do anything. I can't do any of the things that I like to do, that I love to do, that I want to do. Which wasn't true, because I can still play the piano, I can still play the guitar, I can still kind of see my girlfriend from time to time. I can still write the screenplays. I have projects to be edited, because I edit my short films and like projects that I did film. So I had work to be done, but I felt like it didn't matter, and I didn't want to do them. I wasn't doing the courses, I wasn't writing. So that was the lowest point for me.
So I had a moment like that too. I had one specific day, and it's like longer than a moment, but I had one specific breakdown where I just was on the stairs crying and saying, I don't matter. I have no purpose here. I'm just taking up space. Like, I'm not able to do all of the things that I felt like I was here to do. They've all been taken away from me. What's the point? I went through that too. And you know what was tricky about it? Logically, it's like we know that we feel like this because our lives have been upended and completely put on pause. But it reminded me of ways that I used to feel, like in high school or in my early 20s when I was really depressed and felt that way because of like depression. And so it was hard to differentiate. It's like, oh no, maybe I'm just back to being super fucked up in my head rather than I'm just like experiencing quarantine. Like the line was so blurred because it reminded me of my lowest mental health.
There was this horrible thing that happened at the beginning, which was now you have all the free time you always wanted to have, and you're not using it the way you should be using it. You know, that thought, of terrible thought, that somehow you're a piece of shit because you have the time you always wanted to do the things you always wanted, and you're not doing them because you're a piece of shit, you're a failure, you're whatever. You know, that happened at the beginning.
Yeah.
When you were, for me at least, I wasn't using my time the way I wanted to use it. Yeah. And that's because of quarantine, because it's not real. You know, you're not a piece of shit. You're in quarantine. You're experiencing something new that you haven't experienced ever, and the whole world is going through it right now. So it's not you.
So then, conversely, what do you think has been a gift, or even more than one, like gifts that you've gotten from this? You kind of talked about it a little bit, you know?
Yeah, like when I got over that thought of, you know, and I got motivated, I've learned new things that I've been wanting to learn for a long time. That wouldn't have been possible without quarantine. At least not now, maybe in a few years, but you know, I'm doing them now, so that's good.
So then when life starts back up for you, how do you think your life will be different because of this experience, positively or negatively?
Well, negatively it will be impacted, you know, financially, because I will be moving after quarantine ends, and that's going to be a little bit, it's going to be harder than it would have been without quarantine. But negatively, I don't think it's going to affect it anymore. And positively, it's not going to last forever. After quarantine ends, there's going to be this positivity and this amazing feeling of seeing your friends again and being able to and be free again and doing sports and everything. So that feeling is not gonna last forever. It's gonna go away quickly, but it's gonna be amazing. So that's, you know, it's a silver lining, but it is a positive that feeling will exist after all this shit ends.
So I'm curious, now that you mentioned you have a 9-year-old brother, a 15-year-old brother, and you're 26?
27.
You're 27. Which of you has taken it the hardest? Or like, can you just talk to me about the differences between like the age of a person in quarantine, what that looks like?
Well, for the kids, like for the 15-year-old, it's like the best thing in the fucking world because he doesn't have to go to school. Yeah. He wakes up at like 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. What the days he has online classes.
Okay.
Mornings, but it's like 3 or 4 hours, and when he goes to school, he's like 7-8 hours at school.
Right.
So he has a lot more time to play games. You know, what's he gonna do? He can't go out, he can't see friends, and he loves playing games like every teenager. So he's all day on the computer playing games, and then he goes to sleep late, wakes up late, does his homework for like 2-3 hours, and then plays games all day. And for my younger brother with 10 years old, it's the same. Like he he does play games all day, but I think he's suffering a little bit about with inactivity. Like he's a very active kid, and he needs to like do things, sports, and going out or whatever. So that part, I think, it's affected him more than the 15-year-old. But yeah, he's happy he doesn't have to go to school and that he can play games with his friends all day.
I've lost what I was looking at as momentum, but I have gained so much new knowledge, new skills. I've challenged myself to do things that I never would have before, because there are so many things you want to do that you make excuses against doing because you have other responsibilities that are more important to tend to. And with those lifted, you're only left with your ideas. And it's like, you either do this or you do fucking nothing. And you're getting bored of doing nothing for a bit. So you may as well make good on this thing. And for me, that's been the gift, is like everything stopped. And I felt like 2020, for the first time since I stopped teaching, I felt like things were rolling, like really rolling. Things were starting to align, things I had been working hard to make happen. And for the lockdown to happen at this like uptick in momentum, it was so jarring. And I feel like it's just been maybe within the past month that I've started to go, okay, I can see the good. I can see the good a little more clearly than the bad right now, but that's new. That's very new.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
To be able to see the good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, wait. What are you going to do for the rest of the day?
Today, I think I'm going to write a screenplay, Like, I don't have many. I'll watch a few videos of the After Effects course.
Cool.
I'm going to write screenplays, and then I'm going to spend time with my little brothers, like I usually do.
I love that. Well, have a wonderful day.
You too, Annie. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.